Greetings, and thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Perfectly Planted. This is where we find a way to join with you and others in the community to plant seeds of knowledge, positivity, and empowerment, and explore ways to improve our health. Today, we're excited to welcome Dr. Rakesh Jotwani as our first guest for 2023. Dr. RAK first joined the Perfectly Planted podcast on episode 27, and we will link that in the show notes so that you can listen if you haven't already had an opportunity to do so. On episode 27, he shared his vegan journey, his professional awakening, and his why. Dr. RAK joined us for a collective high five as he shared with us more about his platform for connection and awareness. Today, Dr. RAK is going to share with us more wisdom on how to rock your life, an update on his new show, The Health Feast, and some thoughts on how you can focus on your health in 2023. Without further ado, join us for another episode of Perfectly Planted featuring Dr. Rakesh Jotwani. Good morning, Besame. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Daphne. How are you?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Oh, I can't believe we're in 2023, Daphne. It's been very busy. I think for those who may have listened in on our podcast, episode 32, which was a book review around Brene Brown's Gifts of Imperfection. I tried my best to channel some of the lessons learned in that book. It was hard, I will tell you, but here we are starting 2023, set some goals.
Good.
And how about you? How was your New Year?
For me, it was quiet. I don't know that I adhered to what we recommended from the book 100%, but I tried to be present occasionally. And even found some time to turn off my phone. So trying to take those lessons learned and apply them to 2023.
It's the way to do it.
Yeah. But talking about lessons learned, we were blessed several weeks ago to have some great learnings from Dr. RAK. And Dr. RAK is back as our first guest for 2023. So welcome, RAK.
Well, thank you. It's such an honor, privilege to be back. I guess hopefully somebody listened to the last interview and got something out of it. And it sounds like you guys got something out of it. So I'm so thrilled to be back here.
Dr. RAK, we loved having you last time. And I feel like we left things with so much more to ask you and so much more to cover, and so that's why we're so blessed and grateful to have you back. And, we covered a lot primarily on your health journey last call. And I hear you've been very busy since. So you want to tell us a little bit about what's the latest and greatest in the Dr. Rock Your World, Rock Your Life world?
Sure. Yeah. Since we last talked, I changed my job. So I am now working at a new company. It's called Mora, Mora. You can find us at mora.com. Mora means berry in Spanish. And berries are, as you know, a healing fruit. Mora is a lifestyle medicine telehealth. Right. So lifestyle medicine using lifestyle changes therapeutically to treat and reverse chronic disease. And that's what I do. I'm a lifestyle medicine physician. So we are running actually disease reversal groups. So patients come through who have chronic disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, obesity, and they join up with 8, 9, 10 other people. And then physicians and physician assistants are leading multi-week disease reversal groups. So that is really, I just started like at the end of November. And prior to that, I did see Daphne Daphne and I met in person. We met at our annual meeting, the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. So that was a thrilling conference. It was really awesome to meet in person. And yeah, and then I would say, and I'll just say about Mora, the thing that really I want to emphasize, which is really amazing, is that we're accepting insurance.
Mm-hmm.
We're accepting health insurance. So one of the reasons I'll say that, my mission has become in life, and I think I may have touched on that in a little bit last time, is lifestyle changes have had such a profound impact on me at the start. I reversed my own chronic disease. I reversed my high blood pressure, my prediabetes, my high cholesterol, and attained a normal weight for the first time in my life in a way that didn't feel like a punishment or a restriction. And now I'm at a company with like-minded individuals who are all mission-driven, who want to democratize this type of care. They want this care to be available to everyone, because our current healthcare system, you can find it in the crevices and the pockets of it, but that's not how it's set up. That's not how it's designed, and that's not the foundation of care. So, and I will say for several years now, I've wanted to change healthcare and was trying to do it from within. I don't think that's wrong. I think it needs to change from within, but I love the idea of creating something that was accessible. I just found out yesterday that our state, we're now operating in 5 states. So that's been an interesting experience. Like, I'm already licensed in New York and Florida, and but it makes you realize that when you're providing this type of care, people, first of all, everywhere in the world are struggling or have difficulty with their lifestyle habits. And we have an epidemic of chronic disease. And it shouldn't matter actually where in the country. So that's a process. Every state has its own requirements and paperwork, and some of them have extra exams and things like that. And yesterday I found out that our state Medicaid in California is now going to be accepting.
Wonderful.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Great.
And in California, it's about a third of individuals that are on state Medicaid. So it's called Medi-Cal.
Yeah.
So now suddenly it's like, who and how can we offer this to the people that need this the most? Yeah. And anyway, it's super exciting. It's a startup. So we are starting up, and it's been very interesting to see like the rapid iterations of how we do things, but it's super collaborative. Everybody, and like I said, everybody has the same goal in mind. Like, how can we change healthcare? How can we help more people change their lifestyle habits?
So how would somebody in New York or Florida, one of the approved states, or even I think that even I'll get to California in a second, but how would they know to go to More Medical to help with their lifestyle change if they're stuck in the healthcare system? So if they have a chronic condition like diabetes or heart disease, their physician isn't going to say, "Oh, go to More Medical," it's a better. So how would they know to, get in touch with More Medical to understand, to kind of divert them off of all of the highly prescripted medications?
That's right. It's that is something our marketing team is actively working on. Yeah. I mean, how do they, right now it's about, people finding out about us and finding out about what we do, and us, as we grow, like learning and iterating and learning the best ways to do this. I would say, to answer your question, you can go to our website, mora.com, and then it's very easy from there. If you're interested, you don't need a referral from your doctor.
Okay, great.
Yeah, you don't need a referral. So you can self-refer in that sense.
Great.
And we have a like an intake process where you'll fill out some paperwork, and then you meet with a nurse actually. And then if you have questions about insurance or your insurance in particular, that gets answered during that call, or we have an insurance specialist who, and there is a cash pay option as well. It was $200 a month. I think that might be changing, but it's not this excessive amount for that cash pay option. You join the weekly groups. You have the option to meet one-on-one with myself or another lifestyle medicine physician. And then we are working on having good practices where we communicate with their primary care doctor, both at the beginning when they're joining, to say, like, here's something you can give your doctor, to tell them about lifestyle medicine, because as Daphne knows, Vesame, you probably know too, like many doctors don't even know, they know about lifestyle change. Like if you say, oh yeah, change your diet, change your, but they don't know about lifestyle medicine in the way that we support people with multidisciplinary teams to make lifestyle change. Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah. Super cool. And I work from home every day. So I actually work from my son.
You work from your son.
From your son's room.
That's why it wasn't a big like ask. I was like, I need the office.
He's like, okay, Dad.
Yeah. And go ahead.
Can you just, for people listening or watching, explain what disease reversal is, and then also why it is so good, the value of deprescribing. And right. I don't want to necessarily make this a totally focused on healthcare, but I think those are so important.
Sure.
It is so important.
Yeah.
In our highly prescribed lives, right?
Absolutely. So the first thing I'll point out is that we have never had more chronic disease in human history than we have now. And we've never had more medications for chronic disease than we do now. So the medications don't actually cure or treat the underlying disease. Most medications, they treat the symptoms. They treat the after effect of the disease. In the case of diabetes, they bring down the blood sugar. In the case of blood pressure, they bring down the blood pressure. But the underlying cause, which we know 80% of the time in chronic disease like high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, is caused by lifestyle-related factors. It's caused by diet. It's caused by stress. It's caused by lack of movement. And in knowing that, you would say, okay, 80% of our healthcare system should be centered around, and then we would eliminate 80% of the cost. But that's not the case. We spend 2 or 3% of our healthcare budget on prevention, and most of that is on public health. Not that those aren't important; those are very important. Vaccines and public health efforts, and very little, if not nothing, on therapeutic lifestyle change. So, what is that? That is, not just saying to someone you should change your diet. It's then understanding why it's important for them to make change. So having that conversation either with the physician who's certified or trained in that, or in with a health coach who's trained in motivational interviewing to really uncover their motivations. Then it's connecting them with the right resources, knowing where they are and their ability to change and their readiness to change, and then saying, okay, these are the things you need to learn to be successful. And we're going to help you. We're going to match you up with classes or with a dietitian or with a trainer. And we're going to help you be successful, knowing that if you are, there's a high likelihood that we're going to reverse your disease. Now, Daphne, you asked, what does that mean? Sometimes people don't like to use the word reversal. I like to use the word reversal because I think people understand that readily. But I think the medical term we often use is remission. Like we use remission. If someone has cancer and we say it's in remission, it means that there's no evidence of the disease, but it also means that there is some possibility that it could come back in the future. We don't know that. in the case of, say, diabetes, and there are now formal criteria that like the National Professional Societies for Diabetes and Endocrinology have endorsed on criteria for remission in diabetes. Mm-hmm. That is to say that your blood sugar levels are normal and you're off medications for a certain amount of time. I believe it's 3 months. And so that's it. That's it, that you basically don't have evidence of the disease anymore. Mm-hmm. And when we talk about diabetes, we know it's not the symptom of it is high blood sugar, but the underlying issue, the root cause of it is insulin resistance. Mm-hmm. Insulin resistance, insulin type 2, this is type 2 diabetes, of course. Type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance, our end stage treatment is to give more insulin. But we know in type 2 diabetes that it's not a lack of production. At least initially, it's overproduction. So overproduction of insulin. And then it's sort of like, we're taking a hammer and trying to break a lock or something like that. The medications don't treat the underlying disease. The medications, they generally treat the numbers. I'll tell you, in diabetes, we know, for example, for your listeners, there are complications you can get if you don't have diabetes, you don't know someone who has diabetes. There are complications you can get the longer you have the disease. Mm-hmm. So it causes problems with the blood vessels, both the small blood vessels in the body and also the bigger blood vessels, because of the underlying inflammation that results from having high sugars. And that in turn can cause blockages of those. And when it's the small blood vessels, we see things like problems with the eyesight and numbness in the feet and the legs. And when it's the big blood vessels, we see things like stroke and heart attack. And we know very tight blood sugar control with the medications that we use, it does very little. It does almost nothing for the big blood vessel problems like heart attack and stroke. Now, this might sound shocking, but we've known this for years and years. But doctors have said, well, this is the best we can do. Right. And it does a little bit for the what we call microvascular complications, the numbness in the feet. But even that, blood sugar control is not great at preventing. So I'm saying you can have a perfect blood sugars and you're still at a higher risk of getting heart disease. You're still at a higher risk of getting all these other issues. That is not true if you reverse the underlying cause. That is not true. So the medication is an inferior medication. The pill medication is an inferior medication. And the go ahead.
No, I never heard I've never heard that contrast or that explanation. So please keep going, because I'm like, this all makes so much sense to me, that the medication is essentially just putting some like Band-Aids around each of the areas that you need, or the blood vessels. It's not actually getting to the root cause or correcting the root cause of the insulin generation and the blood sugar levels.
That's right. Well,
wow,
okay.
I've never heard of it that way. Thank you. Keep going.
Well, I want to pause and say, as I'm listening to myself, it's like, I'm not anti-medication. Okay. I use medications in all my patients. I think there's a role for medication, especially in the current landscape we have, where so many people are afflicted by, I'm not saying let's stop your medications, because then the blood pressure will get very high and that's dangerous. Then not at all. But you asked about deprescribing, Daphne, which that term is a newer term we use, but it's such a wonderful term. The idea that, because the default right now is that you just end up going on more prescriptions and more prescriptions. And over time, you need more prescriptions. And deprescribing is this idea as you treat the root cause. And this is also something that needs to be done in a kind of medically monitored fashion. That's what we're doing at Mora. We get our patients connected blood pressure cuff, for example, so we can monitor their blood pressure, because as they're making lifestyle changes, guess what? Their blood pressure and their blood sugar start to come down. And if you're on 4 blood pressure medicines, that can be potentially unsafe if you're not being monitored. And so over time, the goal is let's cut that one in half. let's and try that for a week. Oh, and if you're getting lightheaded, take your blood pressure and hold that medicine for the evening. And so people need to know that, especially if they've been on these medicines for a while. But that's really exciting. I've never met a patient when I say, do you want to be on more medicines or less? Nobody says more. Nobody wants to be on more pills. Many people have sort of just, I'd say our healthcare system, this is going to be a little harsh maybe, but I believe this. In many ways, it acts like it's given up. It doesn't know that, but by giving up, I say, we have this powerful medicine that exists, and it works to treat the underlying cause of your disease. And the side effects are only positive. It increases your mood and your energy levels. And that's lifestyle medicine. And instead of offering that or even talking about that, we're going to default to these pills that treat your numbers, have some benefit, obviously, depending on the disease process. They have some benefit in mitigating your disease or preventing complications, but it's not nearly the same effect depending on the disease process. And you're not necessarily going to feel better. You might actually feel worse because most of these medications carry side effects. And so you're going to be doing what you believe is the right thing because that's what you've been told, but actually not feel better. And then at 5-10 years from now, you may have a heart attack, and it's because the medications didn't really do that much to reduce your risk of having that heart attack, because the underlying root cause of what causes heart disease and what causes strokes and what causes many of these things is the same. It's the underlying lifestyle habits, and those didn't change because your healthcare team didn't talk to you about changing those things. And the last thing about that I'll say is we frame often lifestyle medicine, because I worked within the healthcare system, it gets framed as a privilege, like, oh, wonderful. Like, yeah, we have these classes and it'd be great if you could also do that, like go to a cooking class and even for the doctors who are doing it, oh, it's wonderful that you get to spend some time doing that outside of all the other essential things we need to do. And I'd say in medicine, we talk about something called informed consent. When, say, Bessame, if you were going to go for a surgery, your surgeon would tell you there's this surgical option, and then there's this option where we watch and wait, and then there's this option where we put a sling or something. And why? Because there are risks to every option. And so I want to make sure you know that you have this option, this option, this option. And if you go for the surgery, there's some risks. And we don't do that in chronic disease management. If we did, we would say there's this option, the medication, it's going to treat your numbers and give you some benefit for preventing future problems. And then there's this option, which may not seem readily available to you, but we're going to hook you up with a health coach and a dietitian. And if you make some changes to your diet and start moving more, then these things will be a thing of the past. And we don't do that. But if we did do that, how many people would you think choose option A versus option B? And I think most people actually would say, with the right support and my medical team behind me, yeah, I want to give lifestyle changes a go.
RAK, you're 100% correct. And I don't want to, I think it's why we invest so much time with ACLM, because we know that there's a group of people that are focused on making this part of informed consent for understanding what are your options.
That's right.
But I think you alluded to it, but you didn't actually say it, which is there's not a financial incentive to make that option a primary option yet. That's so, right. When pharma driving the bus, and with us being reimbursed for sick care and not health care, the
That's right.
motivation to make that a primary offering, or, to put it on par with,
That's right.
to your point, surgical consent is, here are your options. We don't lay out all of the available options for people who are overweight, obese, type 2 diabetes, significant cardiovascular disease. We're a little bit paternalistic, but we also are incented to do this because that's how the system is set up.
That's right.
It's very reactionary. You have something and it's, let me react and give you the quickest solution, as opposed to going to the root cause, which happens in, I appreciate the more medical lifestyle medicine and lifestyle change that you all are working on, because I think that that's essentially where people should go initially.
That's right.
That's my opinion. And that's a non-medical opinion. Let's all make sure everybody knows that.
Yeah.
And then thank you. I'm so excited that you've joined Maura, because it is a group of people that get it. And as a startup, you can iterate pretty quickly and start to do things like engaging with Medi-Cal. We talk a lot about health equity and making sure that this lifestyle opportunity is available equitably to everyone, because some of the communities that need it most probably hear it the least.
Sorry.
That's okay. But, talking about that, it was really fascinating to see other things that you've embarked on. So we'd love to hear more about where you're going with the health
my personal
fees.
project. Yes. Yes. I'd love that.
You're still messaging, you're still rocking, and we want to hear more about that too.
That's right. Okay. So last time I was on, I told you about my kind of personal mission project, which is Rock Your Life. Rock Your Life, which, if you didn't listen to our last conversation, RAK stands for roots, sort of what's your why, what's your intention for change. A is awareness. How do you bring more awareness to your life so that you can see what it is you do clearly now, and then start the process of change. And then K is kindness, and kindness is a reminder first to be kind to yourself. So, I saw something on social media this morning. It was just from a friend of mine who said, she said, so many people are talking about changing themselves. And she said, it's wonderful to think about starting at a place where you love yourself. Yeah. That's true. I think about change so much, and I don't stop to think, well, I am the person I am. I may change, characteristics of me over time, but like the core of me is me. And so wherever I am, like, love myself where I am now. Yeah. And then how you make change is by making what I call kind changes. So you make changes that are both good for you and also feel good. And that is really then the topic or the emphasis in my new podcast. So since I was last on, I started a podcast. It's called The Health Feast. And you can find us at thehealthfeast.com. And you can find us at The Health Feast. There you go. At The Health Feast. And you can find us wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube. And how I started this, first of all, the name, I have to tell you, I was at my gym maybe a year ago, and I needed to connect to the Wi-Fi for some reason. I think I was working on something with one of the trainers, and I brought my laptop, and that was the Wi-Fi password. They hadn't made it. It was Health Feast.
Oh, that's funny.
____. And they hadn't made that, right? So they rented this place maybe a year before that, and that was the password that was just given to them. But as soon as I heard it, I said, that is how I look at healthy things, that we should feast on them, that they should be something that just feels so good and actually ideally indulgent. When the thing that you should be doing feels so wonderful and indulgent, you don't have to force yourself to do that. You don't need any willpower. You just do it because it feels so good. So if the food tastes delicious, regardless of, it's whole food, plant-based food, and it's delicious, you're like, I love eating that food. You don't even think about, it's not a restriction. It's not a restriction. So I wrote that down that day, or the next day. I reserved that URL. Not that I don't think anyone was pining to get it, but I was like, it's mine. I actually reserved, and I did everything. I opened up a Instagram account that day. And then it literally was a year later. Okay. So I would say about 9 months ago, I got and this is, Daphne knows this. The amazing thing about our lifestyle medicine community is we meet people and connect with people all over the world. We don't know each other, but suddenly when we know we're in the lifestyle medicine tribe, we know each other. Like, we get each other. And there's this feeling of connection and familiarity, even though we don't know each other. And so it's so cool. I mean, that's one of the reasons. I mean, there's all sorts of pluses and minuses to social media, of course. We could talk about that forever. But one of the cool things is you can connect with people all over the world. And I got a message from someone I knew actually years ago. In 2007, I did my intern year residency training at University of California, San Francisco. And my first resident was in the cardiac unit when I didn't know anything. Her name's Nicole Sarantan, and she's a physician. Now I came to learn in Abu Dhabi. She's the chair of preventative medicine at the Cleveland Clinic in Abu Dhabi. And she messaged me. She said, I see you're still in the Bay Area and you're doing lifestyle medicine. I'm doing lifestyle medicine as well. And so there was that just, okay, we get each other. And she said, I know someone. I have a patient I recently took care of who lives in Santa Rosa. And Santa Rosa is about 30 miles north of me. And he's looking for support for the changes he's made. Yeah, that's right. And she was at Daphne. I don't know if you went. She gave a talk at ACLM. Yeah,
their cancer program.
That's right, exactly. And so it was so wonderful to see her there. And actually, I had a call with her then, and she told me about this gentleman, Tapotu Paletti. He goes by Po. And how did she meet Po? Po applied to be on a reality TV show for unhealthy Americans, like an immersion, a 3-week immersion that was in Abu Dhabi. He got accepted, and Po has struggled with he's Samoan. He's from American Samoa, and he has struggled with his weight his whole life, and his health. And now he talks about this openly. I get to the fact that we started a podcast, but I called him, I reached out to him, and I could see that there was this just wonderful, sincere, genuine person whose goal really is to not just help himself, but he went to that 3-week immersion and his blood pressure normalized. So this 3-week immersion, by the way, was run by, he didn't know any of this when he applied. It was run by Scott Stoll, Dr. Scott Stoll of the Plantrition Project. Plantrition Project, now 10 years old, is like, instead of a clinician, you're a plantrician. You're using plants to treat disease. And they have an annual conference. It's a wonderful organization. And he went on a whole food, plant-based diet. He started meditating every day for 3 weeks. And in 3 weeks, his blood pressure normalized. He lost weight. He had evidence of liver fibrosis. And actually the scan normalized, even the liver scan normalized incredibly. Yeah. and his liver numbers on his lab tests normalized. And he felt incredible. And then he came home and really worked very hard to try and maintain a lot of these things. Poe has 4 children, 4 to 14, I think. So they run the gamut. And Poe he works as an officer in the Department of Corrections for the state of California. Wow. And sometimes every week he has a couple of these 16-hour shifts. He's had to structure his time that way because his wife works too. And then one of them has to be available for the kids. And he very quickly realized that being in an immersion in Abu Dhabi is one thing. And then coming home and having to do these things in your life is another thing. And one thing we started having calls, and we would go on walks. I told him, let's both go out on a walk, and as we talk on Sundays, and we talk about, what do we talk about? We talk about, how am I going to eat this way when my kids bring home all this junk food?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
How am I going to eat this way when I come home from work and there's 2 pizzas in the fridge? And I've been up for 18 hours, and like what, we always talk about willpower is like a battery. So it's a lot of this is like troubleshooting. And one thing Poe always says is, he's like, I was in a cocoon at the immersion.
Yeah,
exactly.
Now I have to create my own cocoon at home, like little by little. I have to find how to make this, because he has done a lot of unsustainable things in the past. He was on, this is not the first time he was on a reality show. Poe was on a reality show 10 years ago on VH1. It was called Money Hungry. And it was like, his cousin, who's also Samoan, won The Biggest Loser.
Oh, wow.
And Coley was his name. And I actually saw that season. I used to watch that show sometimes. Yeah. And, Poe saw that in his late 20s, and he was like, wow, somebody in our community did that. Because so many of his family members he has seen not just struggle with weight, have died early of chronic disease, of heart disease. And that sort of has become ingrained in him. But then he saw this example. It was both his 2 cousins. One was the at-home winner, and one was the actual show winner. And they lost like half their weight. You know how this happens. But we also know from The Biggest Loser, research that has come out afterwards, that many of these contestants have regained their weight, and they've caused metabolic damage, actually, because not that it's, restricting calories in such a severe way for such a prolonged period of time, and then doing things like they were exercising, hours a day. Yeah. And that's not, so Poe went on Money Hungry to win $100,000, but he had to actually put up $10,000. So and he did. He raised it from like family and friends, and he and a friend went on, and it was 9 weeks. I think he lost 80 pounds, and he was literally like exercising 6 hours a day.
Oh my gosh.
And eating, he told me, like 500 to 800 calories a day. Yeah.
It's not life. You can't.
But he didn't know. I mean,
I know.
He didn't know.
This is why they need you and Nicole.
That's right. That's right. He didn't know. And so he came back and actually tried to maintain that. He was exercising for hours at a time. He thought this is how you do it. This is because this is the first time he had lost a significant amount of weight. But as he's reflected on, like that felt like a punishment. And you can only sustain punishments for so long before, it's unsustainable. And so now he's trying to make kind changes. He's trying to make changes that he can sustain, that will become a regular part of his life. And one day he said to me a few months ago, we were on the phone, and he said, Dr. RAK, and even before he said it, I felt it too. He said, I think many people would benefit from hearing these conversations. So some of it is actually just like kind of live, I would say, coaching that I do with Poe. And the next week, I'm excited. The episode coming out this week, we have one of my good friends, His name is Jay Chodagam. He's a meditation teacher who has had a big impact in my life. And so that will be released later this week. But so it's a new venture. It's kind of taken me a little off of devoting time to creating more resources on Rock Your Life, but Rock Your Life is like central to it. Actually, if you look at the health feast, there's this little fist bump, like hosted by Rock and Poe, and I put the fist bump all over because that ethos of roots, awareness, and kindness is exactly what we talk about on the show. Although interesting that I haven't sort of called it out in that way. I think I'm gonna do that because the two are sort of, you look in the background there. There's two big fist bumps.
Yeah. No, that's important though, to also continue to maintain and sustain, I think, is the most important part of it. Like you said, and having that constant and consistent coaching and the conversation where people can relate to. So Dr. Rock, is your podcast available on all streaming or podcast?
I wouldn't say all, because there's like hundreds of ways you can get podcasts, but I would say like the top 10, Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio. I don't even think I posted that, Stitcher. And then I was like, this is out of control. But there's a service that basically, once you have a feed, you can put it on these. It's not difficult.
Right. No, that's awesome. We'll definitely check it out and hope our listeners do the same as well. So go ahead, Daphne.
Sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt you, Besame. I just want to put a pin in that because, would probably love to have you and Poe on the podcast at some point.
Yes, I think that would be awesome.
We had a comment from one of our listeners about who has adopted a lifestyle that is aligned with a lot of what we're talking about and has had significant improvements in their cholesterol. I don't know if there is a too low, but I do want to make sure that we leave our listeners and viewers with the understanding that our goal is this isn't a diet. This is a lifestyle change. This is when you're talking about disease reversal, when you're talking about deprescribing, you are partnering with your healthcare team to create habits and behaviors that are consistent and sustained so that you can continue to thrive.
That's right.
So that you have to do that with all of the things that Rock said, especially kindness to yourself, because there's no perfection. And I just want to tie it back to our conversation resume about you're not going to be perfect in following a diet, exercising, but when you make these changes, you're feasting on life, physical activity, nutrition, sleep, stress, avoiding risky substances, that feast of abundance will pay back in improvements in your health and longevity.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Didn't need to have a monologue.
Noted, Daphne. No, well noted, Daphne. That's absolutely, I 100% agree. I think, Dr. Rock, this is also very exciting since the last time we spoke in just a short period of time. But one thing I left unanswered during our last podcast is, tell us a day in the life of Dr. Rock and Rock in your life. We know you're very busy. You're a father, a husband, a coach. What does your day look like?
Okay. Well, should I tell you ideal or should I tell you
real?
Let's talk about real. We want the real thing.
Real.
You share some of it on the podcast. I mean, when you were sick and recording, that was real.
That's right. So I'll call both out, because ideal is I get up at a pretty early time, 5 or 5:30, and then after sort of taking care of myself, and I don't want to do TMI, but if you eat a whole food plant-based diet, like there's some time in the morning you need in the bathroom. Like,
exactly. Which is good.
Which is normal and very healthy. Yeah. And I allot for it. I account for it in my day and my morning. I don't, I'm going on a run later today. And I told my friend from experience, I say, afternoon runs are better for me than morning runs. Unless I know the route and there's a
rest stop.
A rest stop. So get up early, and then I think if possible to do some meditation first thing in the morning.
Mhm.
And it really sets, one thing I've come to learn is that I appreciate so much now is it creates this kind of vibration or this energy within you. And so then it changes the vibration of your day. Because when I started meditating, and I certainly very quickly like started seeing some positive effects, like about how it changed my relationship with my thoughts and made me more aware. And even now I'll say I want to quote unquote get it in, but I didn't prioritize doing it first thing in the morning. In fact, I did it in the evening in the car because that I could do it consistently. And I would say consistency always trumps anything else, because you're not going to see effects in your life unless you're consistent. So there's never a perfect time. The best time is the time that you can do it.
Exactly.
And so I'm not telling anyone you have to do it first thing in the morning, but if it's possible for you, and actually it turns out it is, I had to go through this conversation with myself. I'm like, it is possible. You just have to go to bed a little bit earlier and get up a little bit earlier. And then it's possible every day. In fact, as I was telling Poe on our podcast, like when you do it in the morning and when you prioritize it, if you it doesn't get away from you. Like sometimes you say, oh, I'm going to do it like when I get a chance, or I'm going to do it at the end of the day. An end of the day comes and so many things, other things have happened, and your mind is going in this direction and this direction. So that's the benefit. So I'll do some meditation. That's usually about 30 minutes where I do some breathing, and I also do some chanting, which creates this wonderful vibration within you. And that I do in the last time we had the podcast, I was in my little meditation space.
Yeah.
So about a year ago, we built a little, we call it casita, but that's what the contractor who's building it came up with the name. But it's a little like freestanding structure. There's no electricity, but it's like insulated and has a big glass door and a skylight. And that's it. It's just a little simple room, because I realized that in the home, well, first of all, I got feedback that my chanting was waking
too loud,
waking people at 6 a.m. They're like,
chant to yourself.
Yeah, that's
Dad,
right.
you have to go outside.
You have to go outside. And so then I was going to the garage, and I was like, this would be wonderful so that was like a little dream of mine that came to fruition. And when we got this contractor, the other thing I had him build was an ice bath. So
interesting.
A chest freezer. And do either of you do cold plunge?
No.
Have you ever done cold plunge?
I have not.
I've done cold. I recently got one of those sauna beds.
Nice.
Just the pads you slip in, not a.
Yes.
Yeah, and I take a cold shower after that. So I'm a Peter Attia fan.
Yes.
But I can't do ice bath. No, I'm not that brave or strong.
Have you tried it, Daphne?
Oh, not the ice bath,
like
just the cold shower. I haven't tried it.
Yeah.
Besame, do you cold shower?
I've done cold shower. Yeah. Yeah. I've done cold shower. It's interesting. It does invigorate you a bit, but there's no desire for me to be like, that's okay. I just have to wake up, or something's not right. It's not a consistent, let me go cold shower.
Yeah.
It's let me just, wake myself up, or I'm too hot and I can't bring my body temperature down. Let me just, take a cold shower. But, I was watching something, I can't recall what it was. And they were cold plunging. And I was like, what are the health benefits?
Health benefits. Sure. And I started doing cold showers about 5 years ago. I got turned on to Wim Hof. You know Wim Hof? Besame, do you know Wim Hof?
I don't know Wim Hof. No.
Wim Hof, WIMHOF.
Okay.
And some of your listeners may or may not be aware of him. He's from the Netherlands. He goes by the Iceman.
Okay.
Is his sort of nickname. And very interesting and tragic story. His wife committed suicide when he had 5 young children.
Oh, wow.
And he went through this sort of deep, dark depression, and started studying Eastern religions. And one day, like, jumped into the cold water because he was just so stuck in his head. He couldn't get out of his head. And when he went in the water, he realized that as he controlled his breath, that it didn't feel cold anymore, that actually his body adjusted and he started to sort of generate heat and warmth from within. And so he teaches this method, the Wim Hof method. It's part breath work, specific type of breath work, part cold immersion, and then part what he calls commitment, which is sort of movement patterns, some sort of yoga and exercises that kind of go along with his practice. And I just started getting into it. I started doing the breathing on and off about 5 years ago. The breathing is where you do 30.
In an ice chest? In your ice chest? In your casita?
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, now
I'm like, wait, is the casita with the ice chest?
Casita is separate, but casita
separate.
I do, and I don't do Wim Hof breathing every day now.
Okay.
But yesterday, for example, I did like 30 minutes of it, and you do these forced inhalations and exhalations, and then a long breath hold.
Okay.
And you're actually alkalinizing your blood, so you're blowing out a lot of carbon dioxide. And then when you do the breath hold, you hold your breath, and if I do this consistently, I mean, yesterday I did 5 rounds, and at the last round, I held my breath for 3 minutes.
Wow.
Without force. That's the important thing. You sort of ease into the experience, and then you feel this. If your listeners haven't done it, if you guys haven't done it, I recommend you just try it. And he'll guide you. If you look on a YouTube video, he has a lot of guided
video courses,
guided sessions. You can do free. Don't pay. He has a lot of free stuff, obviously. And then I started taking cold showers, but Wim will tell you it's not, and I talk about kind changes, like it shouldn't feel actually really noxious. What happens is as you start to slow your breath, exactly what he experienced, you can experience. Your body starts to adjust. Of course, when you first get in the cold, it will feel noxious because that's a learned experience. Your body is like, oh, I know what this is. And then suddenly you feel very afraid of it. And then if you can watch your breathing in that moment, what you'll notice is you're taking short, shallow breaths through your mouth. And our breath is so interesting. I mentioned I do regular breath work because breathing is, I say, a superpower because it's our way that we can reprogram our nervous system. We have this, what's called an autonomic nervous system. It's like an automatic nervous system. And if you breathe slow, you can then suddenly put yourself into a state of relaxation. And so if you do that in the ice water, after about a minute, your body sort of adjusts and you don't focus on it feeling cold. Actually, then you sort of feel this energizing feeling across the body. So now I'd say my body sort of wants it. I don't have to, if I get away from that habit, like for a week or two, which sometimes happens, then the first couple times I have to sort of prod myself a little bit because, but if I'm doing it consistently in the morning when I wake up, I want it. I don't know. Because you release endorphins, you release cannabinoids. Wim likes to talk about this a lot as this natural high. So you ask the health benefits. Cold exposure, like heat exposure, like exercise, is what we call a hormetic stress or hormesis. Have you ever heard that term, hormesis?
I have not. Or Daphne probably has.
It's a Greek word, and it's sort of the loose translation is like what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah.
And it's this adaptive ability that our body has to stress. And so when it's presented with a stress on a cellular level, those cells get more efficient. They actually start to produce what's called mitochondria, which are the powerhouses of the cells, and they improve the density of those. So your cells get more efficient. Exercise does this. Cold exposure does this. Fasting does this. So, there's compounds in berries and all plants. A lot of these substances that are beneficial in plants, we call them xenohormetic compounds. because xeno meaning the foreign, hormetic compounds, they actually cause a mild stress when you eat them. Like there's something in cruciferous vegetables called sulforaphane. Sulforaphane is a xenohormetic compound. It actually causes it's not a damaging stress. It's a very mild stress such that our cellular response is to come back stronger. So, which is the whole thing's fascinating to me. But yeah, I do it because it's good for me, but I also do it because it feels good. I have a history of depression, and I know actually even when my mood is getting, if I go in the cold plunge, when I come out, my head is more clear. My mood is elevated. Yeah.
I have to check into that. And I guess back to the whole breath work, it's isn't that why yoga, you feel so much better after yoga, regardless of, I mean, I prefer hot yoga because I feel like I accomplished by sweating. Like sweating is a sign of accomplishment for me. So, I guess I would associate the two. Would you not? Do you do yoga, Dr. Rak?
So yoga, I do yoga in the form of meditation. In the traditional sense, the word yoga means union, and union of the to our kind of eternal energy, our that we have this piece of, we have this energy within us, and the way I liken it to is sort of, it's like a drop of water separated from the ocean. And so union is sort of reconnecting with that in the truest form. And there are different ways you can do that. You can do that through breathing. I think is central to that. Breathing gets your mind and your body in a state where you can be receptive and maybe go into that union. But you can do that then with movement. You can do that with chanting. Movement is, I think, commonly how yoga has been adapted for many. But you asked an interesting question. You said, what did you say? The breathing is sort of central to that, or important to that.
Isn't that why yoga makes you feel good when you're done? Right.
That's a big part of it, I think, because if you're doing, basically, if you have down-regulated breathing for an extended period of time, then your whole body shifts into that it's our vagus nerve. Our vagus nerve is when our respiratory rate gets below about 6 breaths a minute, then we start powerfully activating that vagus nerve, and that lowers our heart rate, that dilates our blood vessels, and that starts to regulate our body in a completely different way than if we're amped up and we're releasing a lot of adrenaline. And so I think that's a big part of why you feel good.
Okay, so back to your day, because I am going to get the full day.
Okay, so that's morning, and then my kids get up. The kids get up anywhere from 6:30 to 7:15. Weekend a little bit later. And with my new job, actually, I've been able to structure my hours such that. So this is a little newer, but no, I mean, this even before, where I can drop them off at school every day, which is amazing. Yeah. My wife is a kidney specialist. So, and, as time has gone on, her responsibilities at work have increased. And for many years, I was a hospital doctor, and she was bearing the brunt of a lot of that. And so it's really nice that I can drop them off and pick them up. Most days I make their lunches every day, which I'm actually in charge of the food for the house. And about 5 years ago, when I was changing my diet, that's when I decided I was going to take control of grocery shopping, of meal planning, which is a big thing. And it's a challenge to get your kids to, and it was sort of selfish too, because I wanted to have control over the food that came in the house.
So you didn't have pizza like Poe?
If you can,
I can relate to Poe, because I'm like, there's a leftover burger, fries, and pizza. I can't eat that.
They still get those things. I mean, and we still get pizza. My pizza just has no cheese, and my wife's food, it just has no cheese on it. My kids still eat cheese, but I just say a couple things. I say, if we're gonna get pizza, let's not get an excessive amount. Like, just get enough so that, like, if the kids want it, and if there's a few pieces left, I say, like, now I don't. About 6 months ago, I became vegan, but So that actually has helped me sustain a lot of like now when I see pizza, cheese pizza, which I'll be honest, I probably still would enjoy it. And but when I see it, I say I don't eat that anymore.
You choose not to.
I choose not to eat that anymore. And I remind myself of that conscious decision I've made and the type of person I've become that doesn't eat that anymore. And in that moment, I'm like, it loses its effect in a way. And the longer cheese is a really hard one, just as an FYI, I'm sure a lot of your listeners know, I'm sure you know, because it's literally addictive and there's something about pizza. Poe talks about this all the time.
Yeah, there's something about pizza.
Cheese and just refined flour. And there's usually like some sugar in the sauce. Like there's enough of everything that
SOS. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Exactly. And so anyway, I take control over the food environment. I make their lunches every day such that I have to be creative and figure out what they like. But I also feel really good that I get to do that for them every day, that I'm like thinking about the food they eat. I make sure they have a fruit and a little vegetable every day. We have these stainless steel lunch boxes called Lunchbots, which I love. And then depending on the day, I have clinical responsibilities. I always schedule exercise. Like that's another tip. Like I put it on my calendar. So one thing I've learned is if you tell yourself, I want to exercise, and you don't make a specific plan, this is true for anything, it oftentimes won't happen. Beyond making a specific plan, I put it on my calendar like a meeting. It's a meeting. It's a commitment to myself. Exactly. Exactly. So I know exactly when I'm going to be doing my strength training. And so in terms of my exercise, 3 days a week, I do strength training. I lift weights. And I used to go to a gym, the gym that I love. And during the pandemic, I slowly built up kind of a home gym.
At-home gym. Yeah.
And it's just so convenient. It's in my garage, right? And so I can just literally walk in the door. Like if like a 30-minute time span does open up, it's like,
run outside.
I can go. Yeah, exactly. So, and then I usually go running twice a week. And running is not something I ever really enjoyed. I like to tell the story about how I lost 30 pounds for my wedding 12 years ago.
Right.
And I did it by forcing myself to run, and I would get like knee pain and foot pain. And I just did it because I was like, I want to look good in those pictures. And the day after my wedding, I didn't run again for years. And unless someone was chasing me.
It was that sustainment piece that was missing in that one.
Now, I at the start of the pandemic, when the gym closed, because I didn't have a home gym at first, and I knew how much exercise was benefiting me. And I was like, what do I do? And I was doing some like, band workouts in the garage and things like that. But then I was like, okay, I'll start running again. But I did it very differently. I started listening to the Nike Run Club app. Yeah. Do you know that app?
Yes, I love Coach Bennett.
I love Coach Bennett too. And Coach Bennett is their Nike Global head running coach, as you guys know, but he also has some of the recordings he does with Andy Puttycombe of Headspace. Those runs are amazing. And I've done them so many times. They're mindful runs, right? And there's a run like running on empty. I love the running on empty run. It's a 30-minute run where you really just don't want to go. But as soon as you start, they remind you, they're like, you started. Exactly. Just feel really good about yourself in this moment. You started. And then they start every run the same way, which is that it should feel good. I liken it to like kind running, because they're like, you shouldn't be forcing or pushing yourself. Your body is warming up. There's a morning run they do where they say, you have to remind yourself that you were just in bed all night.
Right.
And now you're running. So if you're trying to go a certain pace or do something, like forget about that. If you need to walk, just walk. And such a compassionate way to run. I run that way. I just listen to my body. How's it feeling? And as it starts to warm up, if I want to go faster, I do. very often I'll look at my times if I do like 3 miles, for example, and the third mile might be like significantly faster, but not because I was like, I need to hit this time. I need to hit this time. And Sundays I schedule a run with a friend. That's the other thing I learned was, how do you make these changes in a way that feel good? Because bad habits have such a leg up on good habits.
True.
Right? Like pizza has such a leg up because it hits all those pleasure centers.
Yes.
Right? So it's like, well, what's pleasurable for me? Like having an amazing conversation with a good friend, and we go to Crystal Springs Reservoir, just on the Pacific coast, near where I live. It's this beautiful, beautiful area. There's forest, trees everywhere, and there's a long, winding trail that go. Yeah, and it's like I can't imagine a better way to spend my Saturday or Sunday afternoon than being with a good friend. And so, and by scheduling it with someone, like I'm going to show up,
accountable.
Like,
Very accountable.
Right. Yep.
That's right.
Accountability partner.
That's right. So these are all the little things I've learned about how to make successful change I work on with my patients, but I implement them in my own life. It's like, I want to do these things, and not because I have to do these things, but I know when I do these things, when I meditate regularly, when I do the cold plunge, when I exercise regularly, I feel amazing. My mood is better. My relationships with my family are better. Everyone, my daughter used to always say when I would come home from the gym, she would be like, yeah, I didn't even have to say it. She would be like, you went to the gym, didn't you?
It's interesting how our kids pick up on when our endorphins are actually in full swing, Yeah, I get the same thing.
And I was like, yeah, I did. She's like, I know, because you're always in a good mood when you're happy. Home from the gym. Sometimes I tell my wife if we're having an argument, I'm like, do you want to go for a run? Because I know she's going to and me too. We're like different people after that. It also opened that 30-minute run. You start, I don't know how many times I've had like epiphanies or like something that was really struggling within my life. And I was like, oh, maybe I can just apologize.
Right. You come to your senses.
You come to your senses. Yeah.
So at this point you had to have eaten something, right? By the time you start work and everything. So we left out the nutrition.
No.
I know we're going over on time, but I think that's maybe a sample meal plan.
I have a morning drink, which it's going to sound hideous maybe and gross, but I just sort of concoct. So I'm really big into like doing the right thing, but also making it efficient, I would say. Like I want to do a lot of things, and how do I like fit all these things in? So I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example. In the morning when I drop my kids off at school, we do a gratitude practice because I wanted to have a daily gratitude practice. I love that they have one too. And that's 15 minutes in the car where we could be listening to music or whatever. But I was like, okay, that's one thing I want to do every day. And I can do it with them. So I always think about that. Where's the opportunity to do? So with my morning drink, it starts with matcha, which is green tea, which is a whole blended green tea. It's about a heaping teaspoon I put of matcha, and in a big thing of actually ice cold water. So ice water actually is a great way to also wake up, both externally and internally. When you drink it, you release adrenaline and sort of gets you going. But then I was like, what else can I put in this tea that's also good for me? So I'm a big fan of Michael Greger, and turmeric, and I'm Indian too. So a lot of these spices are Indian, but turmeric, I'm going to get some turmeric in every day, and black pepper. So I put turmeric and black pepper in my, again, I was going to say, it sounds kind of gross. I put amla, AMLA, which is Indian gooseberry. It's a little fruit in India. It's super sour. And it's got one of the highest levels of antioxidants of any known plant substance. And so I put it, and it's been shown, like, not great studies, but it can have effects on your lipids. And regardless, it's part of my morning drink. I put a teaspoon or half to about a teaspoon in there. and some ground ginger, which is very anti-inflammatory,
Mhm.
and then some vinegar.
Apple cider?
Apple cider vinegar with
Okay.
the mother. I buy Bragg's and I shake it up.
Yep.
And so I get a little bit of probiotic. And it has like some positive metabolic effects. And it adds that kind of like sour taste that makes it taste a little bit like a kombucha, I would say, but there's no sugar in it. So this is what I drink. I shake it up and I love it now. It sounds very strange, but oh, you want a recipe? Sure, yeah. I'll
We'll
provide.
post it. Yeah, we'll post
I'll
it.
provide that. Yeah, I'll provide that, and I can show you like I can take a screenshot of like the bags of things I buy.
Oh yeah, perfect.
I get them on Amazon, in in those big.
So we can put the links in too.
Yeah, and then so I drink that, and I honestly I've been doing that for the composition of it has changed a little bit, but I've been doing that for like 3 or 4 years, and it's.
Does it blend up? I guess. Sorry, I don't mean to go.
It does. It does.
Way over time, but so might as well stay over time. Like, does it blend up as you shake it up? Because the chunks. I can't do chunks.
No, it does. It does. There's no.
Okay.
There's no chunks.
I'm gonna try the recipe.
Sometimes the amla. Okay. Sometimes there is a little bit of sediment at the bottom, but just I put it in. I have a stainless steel like shaker bottle.
Yeah.
Which I'm really excited. I got for Christmas. I got stainless steel shaker bottles. I had plastic ones before, and I didn't. It sounds crazy, but I didn't know that there was this whole stainless steel. Of course there are, but I try not to use plastic for a lot of reasons. But anyway, so I have stainless steel shaker. Shake it up. If you shake it really well, it all dissolves. And then and if you put some ice cubes in there, that kind of helps break up things too.
Okay. Got it.
And you can modify this. You can ask yourself, is there some like spice or like thing that I like? For a while, I was trying ashwagandha. I didn't really notice any like difference in using it. I used it for several months, and I was like, I don't feel different. So I didn't know why I was putting it in that sense. So I took it out.
But you feel better with this concoction?
It gives me like morning. It gives me totally sustained energy. I think from the matcha, and I think it helps with my recovery because the amla and the ginger and the turmeric are so anti-inflammatory.
Yeah. Okay.
And now I like it. I like the combination of the matcha and the ginger and the turmeric.
You get used to it. Yeah.
The turmeric was the one piece that when I first started putting it in, I was like, turmeric is kind of bitter.
I love turmeric.
Okay, but if you love it and it's like anything else, you sort of acquire a taste for these things. I don't eat breakfast. To answer your question, my first meal it depends. If I'm going to strength train that day, I try to eat a little earlier, so like 11, because I try to eat before that. But if I'm doing cardio, sometimes my first meal will be like at 1. So that's my breakfast, is what I say, because you are breaking the fast. And my meals are I prep all my lunches on Sunday. I'm going to prep it today. It's pretty. It's like template, but I like it. It's basically I crumble up tofu or soy curls.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I either use soy curls or I'll crumble up the like kind of really hard tofu, the high protein tofu, veggies, whatever veggies like kale, sweet potatoes, different veggies. I'll cook all that together with a bunch of spices. And it's usually the same combination of like garam masala, Indian spices, garam masala, cumin, coriander, some turmeric, and then I add something called lupin beans. Do you know lupin beans?
No.
Lupini.
Yeah, Daphne adds it.
What?
Daphne
tell me.
knows all the fancy beans. And,
tell me about
and berries.
So I started eating Brahmi beans when I was competing.
Okay.
Because they're a good way. One, they're portable. They fit in my suitcase.
Yeah.
They're high protein, low fat.
That's right. That's right.
Getting them from Brahmi, it was nice because I like them really spicy. So you can put some seasoning on top of them. They're almost pickled. But I only recently, it's funny because I think I forget about these things that I do that I just think everyone has exposure to.
Yeah. Right.
So thanks for bringing up Brahmi and lupini beans in general.
Can we post those too? And also there's a question about all of your ginger and turmeric and all those things. They're all spices that you add to your dried matcha, right? Okay. So nothing is fresh. It's just the spice.
Oh, you could do fresh. Yes.
It'd be hard to drink.
No, you have to grate the ginger and grate the turmeric. I just do it out of time. The dried is much faster, but there's the fresh grated ginger and fresh grated turmeric tastes much better. If I'm being honest, I just don't make the time to do that. Lupini beans, yes. Brahme is a company that makes whole lupini beans in these little packs. And just like you said, Daphne, they're super high in protein. They're actually really high in fiber too. And they are low in fat. And so there's a company called Carrington Farms, and they're in Australia, and they make a ground lupin bean or lupini bean that cooks up kind of like couscous, actually, but it's the bean. And a serving of it, I'll give you for example, has 16 grams of protein. Awesome. It has 2 grams of fat, and it has it has 15 grams. So it has 16 grams of carbs, but 15 of that is fiber.
Nice.
So it's basically just fiber and protein. Yeah. So I add that to that meal. I add a quarter of a cup, and I have another. So my meals I probably do have 3 meals. I just eat it in a more condensed period because I also eat oatmeal every day. Sometimes that's my first meal. Sometimes the meal I'm describing is my first meal. One or the other. And I also in the oatmeal, my oatmeal is another. What can I add to it to make it?
Well, one of our listeners puts lupini beans in their oatmeal.
I have Carrington beans in my oatmeal every day. Debbie, yes, I do that every day too. So I put a quarter of a cup rolled oats of steel cut oats, and I put a quarter of a cup of lupin beans. And so suddenly my oatmeal is like super high in protein and fiber.
And it's not protein powder.
And it's not protein powder. Exactly. It's a whole food. Right. It's a whole food. And the other thing I put in my oatmeal to add even more protein is peanut flour or defatted peanut butter, which, are you familiar with that, Besame?
Yes.
Yeah.
I add them into my protein shakes.
Okay, there you go. And that is not a whole food technically, but only one thing is removed. And Michael Greger has this great definition for processed food, which I like to stick to because everything is processed. When you cook something, it's processed. But he says you should really be mindful if you're taking something good out or you're putting something bad in. And so if you're removing most of the fat from the peanut butter, it's like, well, you still get all the fiber and the phytonutrients and the protein. And that's a way to add a peanut flavor and extra protein to the oatmeal too. I love my oatmeal, by the way. I put frozen cherries every day.
Yum, even when antioxidant.
Even when cherries are in season, I put frozen cherries because it's much easier. I don't have to pit them. And if you get them, I get a big bag of organic frozen cherries. Yeah, exactly. They're super sweet. Like they freeze them, they pick them and freeze them when they're super ripe. It's the stuff they can't sell. So usually it's like these really sweet dark cherries, and I put a cup of those in, and I put flaxseed in it as well, because all the things I want to get in, and I don't have to think about it then. I don't have to think like, when am I going to get my flax today? Because I prep those dry ingredients for the oatmeal on Sunday. I prep all the boxes, so they're in my pantry. So the night before, all I have to do, mash up a banana, put the soy milk, put the cherries and microwave it, and I put it in the fridge. And so it's ready to go.
Hungry.
It's ready to go for the next day. And you should see me, my kids, every day I'm eating if they see me eating oatmeal, they're like, I love this. I've been eating it for over a year, the same exact recipe. And
do you need to microwave it if you're going to put it overnight?
You don't have to. I do because of the lupin beans, and I use steel cut oats. If you use rolled oats, I've never tried overnight lupin beans. That probably would work.
Because they'll absorb the moisture. Probably.
Yeah, they'll absorb the moisture probably. But I like to microwave it because with the flax, then it kind of gels up a little. And it almost becomes like a pudding.
Right.
So, and it's cold the next day. So I microwave it for a few minutes and then I put it away. And then my dinner is with my family, and it's usually some vegetable. We eat Indian food 2-3 times a week. And then other stuff, Italian.
Sure.
My take on Italian, my take on Mexican, my take on, they're not traditional. We usually order out once a week, but I don't even eat that food usually anymore. There's a meal service I use. It's called Thistle. I don't know. You probably haven't heard of it, but it started in the West Coast, although they just expanded to the East Coast.
Is it like a Daily Harvest?
Kind of, except they deliver the meals fresh.
Oh.
So they make them fresh and they deliver them in an insulated bag twice a week. And then they recollect. What I love is they recollect the ice packs and the insulated bag. Nice. So when I got Daily Harvest a couple of times, there was just like all this packaging and all this. Nice. So and they're plant-based meals. They use a little bit of oil. Like the dressings will have a little bit of oil, but you don't have to use much of it. So they're not SOS free. They use salt. I mean, the sodium level, that's why sometimes with my patients, I'm mindful of the sodium, but otherwise they're just exactly what I want to be eating. They've made plant-based food super delicious and convenient. And, compared to eating out, it's actually much cheaper. Eating out has gotten super, even if you order food on these delivery services, it's gotten amazingly expensive. So, this is about $11 a meal. Nice. I get 5 of them every week, and between my wife and myself, and actually now my daughter, and I think I'm gonna have to start ordering more because other people are. But that's always there. Like if one of us needs we don't quick, and I'd say it helps you make the right decision in the moment. Because if you don't have that option in the fridge, what are you going to do? You're going to be like looking in the pantry. You're like, oh, maybe I'll order something. Maybe I'll have this leftover kids' food. Yeah. And that's it. And then at nighttime, I'm trying to think of any other wellness practices. I've started this practice where I put my phone to bed. An alarm goes off on my phone. And actually, earlier in this conversation, my alarm, you may edit that out or maybe not, but my alarm went off. And this is something I learned from a friend is at 8 a.m. and 8 p.m., my alarm goes off. And in the morning, and it says 3 words that I want to remember to start the day. So in the morning, it says compassion, because it reminds me just to be kind to myself and to others throughout the day. It says growth, because I'm often thinking about, like in the morning, things are so overwhelming, but I have to remind myself that every opportunity is an opportunity to get better. And then it says patience, because I dropped my kids off at school, and I found myself 8 o'clock is right around the time we leave. And I found myself come on, we have to go. And my daughter's, she's 11 and I've raised her. So she will say things like, Daddy, that's not very helpful when you act. It's not helpful for you, and it's not helpful for us.
Very true.
So I put the word patience, actually, and her name means patience too, actually. Sahana, her name means patience. So I put a reminder to be patient with them, but also be patient with myself. But I started this by telling you want the ideal, or do you want, because every day something might come up or something happens. So then I quickly in my head, I'm like, okay, I do want to exercise today, and it can't unfortunately happen at the time. When can it happen, or what could I move around? But that doesn't happen most days. I've tried to design a schedule such that it's possible and doable. Probably. And for your listeners and for you, for me and Poe and I talk about this all the time, because I didn't get to this where I am with this schedule overnight. It's been several years of tinkering and iterating and failing, and I continue to fail, because we don't look at it as failure, right? First attempt in learning and following up attempt in learning is fail. And so each time I'm iterating and figuring out okay, that didn't work out, or I tried for a while. I told myself when I wanted to start running, I was like, okay, I'm just going to run a mile every day at the track. And I'm going to go at 9 p.m. after the kids go to bed. I did that for a week.
It also has to be, fit something that you'll be able to fit and continue to sustain throughout.
That's right.
So, I mean, I think that it's just, work, it's just hit or miss and reworking, but having the priorities, having those words that you have as your guiding words as you go through your days, your weeks, your years, I think is so important. Right. Dr. RAK, thank you so much for being with us again.
This has been wonderful.
We have more to ask, but hopefully, like Daphne said, we would love to have Poe and you back, and let's just
100%. And can you guys return the favor? Might I ask? Will I be seeing you guys on the health feast? I hope.
We would love to take that feast on, right, Daphne?
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So we will talk offline and figure out when our schedules meet up. That'd be wonderful.
And thank you all so much for listening, for viewing, for the comments. We greatly appreciate it. If you're enjoying the Perfectly Planted podcast, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Did you have something else to say? Oh, there's our swag.
Thank you.
This is just water, but I already
anything, right?
Yeah,
anything works.
But I love this mug, actually. Thank you by the way, these guys, amazing, sent me like a hoodie and a t-shirt. And I told Poe the other day, I was like, we got to do something for our guests. I got like all this swag from these guys. And when I see it, I just remember why you started this and the beautiful thing that you're trying to create, planting seeds of positivity and empowerment. Mm-hmm. And it's like this ripple effect that if I do something small or kind, it has this profound light that then ripples on throughout. And so beautiful. It's just beautiful. So I was thrilled to come. I was really looking forward to this. So thank you.
No, thank you. And to all of our viewers and listeners, thank you so much. Again, if you are enjoying this, go ahead and like, subscribe, leave your comments. We'll be reposting this on our podcast channels as well, Perfectly Planted, and on our blog, of course, which is perfectlyplanted22.com. So thank you, Dr. RAK, Daphne. It's always a pleasure. We'll see you all next time. Everyone be well.
Take care.
Take care. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.